Good morning, folks. It is September 26th, and if you were away from Mr. McTavish's class, this is just a quick rundown of what we did. So vr.vex.com is the website, and there's a link in Google Classroom. The first thing that we did was the basketball drill one. So when you're looking at the playground, when you're creating a new, it's the grid map. That's the playground that we're using. And if you need to file new blocks, that creates the new project, and that's where you can select that. So in here, you can see in the when started, over on the left, your blocks are colored. So the gray one is the comment block. The move blocks are blue. So we can change the speed. If you change the speed, always remember that 100% is the maximum. So don't add a bigger number than that. And then we created a variable. So to create a variable, you need to click on the variables, and then there's the make a variable button, and you give it a name. And we chose start D for the start distance. That was 200. Then we've got a repeat. So control blocks are the repeat blocks. So we're repeating 9 times. And how we figured this out is that the basketball drills, we want our robot to go forward to the next block, turn around, come back, then turn around and go forward to the next block. So each time it goes to the block after. So 200 millimeters is the distance between blocks. So we start at 200 millimeters, which is what we set start D to go to. We have in here our patterns. So we knew that we had to drive forward for 200 millimeters, then turn right 180 degrees, so we're facing the other direction. Drive forward for 200 millimeters, then turn right for 180 degrees, so we're ready to start again. And each time in the loop, we would then change. So in the variable blocks, you can change, and you can select which one, start D. We're going to change it by 200. So that way our first time through, we go 200, back 200. The second time through, now it's 200 plus 200, which is 400, and back 400. And then it's 600. And so that way we're able to go back and forth, and then once we're done, we stop the project. So when you have that completed, you make sure that you file, save to your device. When you save it, it's going to download a file that's called vexcodeproject.vrblocks. If you're on a Windows computer, in File Explorer, you rename it. If you're on a Chromebook, you find it in Drive and rename it. And we want the name, your name, and b-ball. So that is what you hand in to Google Classroom. The second project is once you've saved the basketball one, file new blocks project. And this time, when you're creating the new blocks project, you are going to be opening up the disk transport. That's what it looks like. And if you're looking at the select playground, there's a few disk ones. It's the disk transport one that you want. So the challenge with this one is that we want to organize all the disks into the different squares. So we started doing that today, and what we did was we worked it out, and we just did it step by step. So I'm just going to move this over so you can see. So we started by driving forward for 400. That brings us to this point. So that's going to be our starting point. Then, now you can see we've created a new block to organize our code, but you can, when you're doing it, we just built it up, and then that's the reason we have the gray comment block. So once we had this figured out, we created our own block and just dragged the code over. So drive forward for 300 millimeters brings you to this point. Turning right turns you to face the green discs. Drive forward for 300 puts you over top of this green disc. Then the energized magnet. So right below the drivetrain options is the magnet one to boost, and then we reversed. We don't even need to turn around. Our robot can reverse just as well as it can go forward. Turn right for 90 degrees, drive forward, and that brings us back to the starting point facing the wall. So once we got that organized, we used my blocks and we made a block called get disk that we did all of that. So now we're starting to work out the next stage, which is dropping off the disk. So if we're facing the wall at this point, we need to turn left, and then we drive forward for 800. So if I run this right now, you can see there it goes, picks up the disc, turns around, and that's where we left off today. So make sure to have that ready to go so that you're not far behind for tomorrow.